Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show, everyone. We are the longest running talk show on computers and technology. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a great show planned for you today, where today we have the one, the only, Mr. Ralph Bond. He's waiting in the wings oh so patiently, waving, and everyone, hey, we're going to be talking science and tech trends. And, some of this is going to be medical, obviously, and a lot of this is going to be stories that I guarantee that we have not covered here on the show, at least in a lot of cases. So there are things that you should hear about, and hey, it's honestly, it's one of my favorite things to have Ralph on the show at the end of the week, because technology can be so stressful. Here on the show we talk about the downfall of society as far as social media and hacking and all the stress and all the worrisome stuff. And you know what, this sometimes, I'll admit, sometimes we talk about killer robots, but by and large we talk about fun things, and it's a lot of fun. You're going to enjoy this. Everyone, computeramerica.com. That's where you're going to find everything, past shows, future shows, all the shows, podcasts. If you can't listen to us live on IRN, you can catch the podcast anywhere where you can download them. Also, be sure to check out the video portion, where we will be displaying the articles and videos if they're available, things like that. It's just another way to follow along. And that's all you have to remember. Computer America. Trying to think if there's anything else I should mention here. No, everyone, obviously Friday, hopefully you have a great weekend. We'll be back next week with a full week of shows. And I think that's about it for the morning announcements. Everyone, let's go ahead, bring Ralph on, and get things started here. So as I said before, he's been a longtime Computer America contributor. He has been the voice of Intel's Digital Minute in the past, and since then his role on the show has evolved to, just regular correspondent, someone fun to talk about tech trends and stuff like that. And now he he has taken it upon himself to be our science and tech trends correspondent, especially as things start to ramp up in the fields of, medicine, science, and more. He covers it all, and it's always a lot of fun. Everyone, welcome back onto the show once again, Ralph Bond. Ralph, how you doing?
I'm doing great. And Ben, I couldn't agree more with your commentary about, in the world of technology, as in the world in general, it seems like a very dark age we're in some respects. So what I love to do with this segment, as you know, is look for, in generally speaking, I'd say 95% of the time, the stories you and I do together are uplifting, inspiring, exciting, things that give a brighter picture of the future than all the horror that's going on nowadays. So it's a great way to end the week, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And just to, kind of make my point a little bit better, I mean, going to, I always check out, kind of Reddit in the subreddit technology, where, it's kind of as a barometer of what people are talking about and what's, kind of popular today. And it's everything from like, Jeff Bezos not treating his workers well enough in his factories, and, people suing Facebook for that large data leak that happened over there. Stuff that's like, someone's doing something bad or treating someone inappropriately appropriately. And, not a lot here. And I'm grateful for that. So thank you for going through the hard work. And obviously, I want you to kind of mention what catches your eyes about stories like these as you collect them over, between appearances.
Yeah. So again, in a nutshell, what I do is I look at a lot of different outlets and news services and so forth, and I see myself as kind of an aggregator of inspiring stories. And I don't do the original work here. We always credit where the sources are coming from. So I'm looking at things that are kind of give a sense of either something that's coming up in the future or something that's just been developed that's a breakthrough in our current technology. So it's sort of a mix. That's why I call myself the science and technology trends correspondent for the show.
Right, perfect. And although I do want to mention, looking at Reddit, since I was looking to see what the top stories were, and then we'll get to all these different stories. I'm not worried because we never get to them all. So, why not get to one list? I did want to kick off all these different stories because they do happen between appearances, but this one was just announced an hour ago. And, Ralph, we have talked about SpaceX, Elon Musk, a couple of times. And I got to say that this story just came out an hour ago as of this, as of this show. Wow. NASA picks Elon Musk SpaceX to build a spacecraft for a manned moon mission. So, NASA has said that they want to go back to the moon, and it looks like SpaceX is going to be the one to build the hardware to do it. So, just something to throw out there. It's some lighthearted news for Friday. So,
it's great. It's great for Elon.
Yeah, great for you. I mean, I'm sure that many billionaires out there that have their own space companies would love that contract. And it's weird.
Tony Stark.
It's weird, Ralph. Like there's of course Brandon, the Virgin Galactic. What's his name?
Yes. It skips my mind too.
Brandon something. So there's him. There's of course Bezos with Blue Origin. Ralph, why is it that as soon as you become a billionaire, it's like, rockets. That's totally what we need to do.
I guess it's just the most macho thing you can think of doing, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
just strapping people and
techno
products.
Macho.
Techno macho. I like that. Absolutely. So with that being said, we can, of course, get started here with our regular stories. And where better? Story number one. So, Ralph, please.
Yeah, so this is a lot of fun. And you and I, before the show started, had a chance to chat about this. General Motors unveils plans for lithium metal batteries that could boost electric vehicle range. This comes from Engadget, and the story by just the letter S and then the last name Dent, D-E-N-T.
Steve Dent, obviously. Yeah.
You know who that is? Okay, good, because it was just shown as S.
Well, his and also, I mean, his his Twitter handle is at Steve T Dent. So Steve
Dent. Great, so, good stuff. And there's a fun image in the show notes, by the way, showing the battery platform on display. So here we go. In March, General Motors released more details about its next generation Ultium, that's ULTIUM batteries, that use lithium metal technology to boost performance and energy density. GM claims these next generation batteries will deliver nearly double the energy storage capacity of current lithium ion car batteries, okay? And to make them a reality, GM recently signed an agreement to work with Solid Energy Systems, and Solid Energy Systems is a Massachusetts Institute of Technology spinoff that developed the new approach for lithium metal battery technology. Now, lithium metal batteries are not new, but until now would only work when heated to 175 degrees Fahrenheit. I thought that was particularly interesting. Mm-hmm. But Solid Energy, this MIT spinoff, developed an electrolyte coating for lithium metal foil that works at room temperature. Now, there's so much more information and so much more detail in the article. So we're giving you, and I should have mentioned this at the outset too, we give you the kind of Reader's Digest, super condensed, high-level things here, and encourage you to come and get the show notes from the Computer America website so you can get the link and dig deeper if you so desire. So again, Solid Energy, as said before, developed an electrolyte coating for lithium metal foil that works at room temperature. That's the big breakthrough. And here's another real breakthrough. The new Solid Energy lithium metal batteries offer the same energy storage capacity as a traditional lithium ion car battery, but at half the size. So now if you can take the current size of a lithium ion battery that's in the undercarriage of a car and get double the, output, wow, that's an incredible impact on range, which is the key thing that's holding back many consumers from considering electrical vehicles. They just are concerned about range.
Yeah, and absolutely for that one. And, looking at this, and I found this other article about, kind of the creator of it, driving.canada. Anyway, so driving.canada, and he was talking about the fact that when they build these things, they have this, you can kind of see this this picture here where each one of these batteries are in this, kind of package. And Ralph, what they're saying there is that, obviously the chassis of a, let's say a pickup truck is much different than a two-door sedan. The sizes are very different. Ultium battery allows them to kind of change the size of the battery pack so that you can fit the car that you're in. It's not like, there's a reason why with Tesla, all the cars are about the same, between a sedan, a crossover, they're all about the same size. It's because the batteries have to be the same size. This, not so much. And I'm really looking forward to this because I've read a little bit about the Ultium battery thing, Ralph. And as far as consumers go, like, it'd be like every 5 years because, batteries do degrade and the quality and the range and stuff like that. It'd be like having to tear your entire car apart just to swap the engine every, 5-10 years.
Right.
This is more like a, kind of drop it and go thing. It's kind of a quick swap thing. This is the kind of technology I'm looking for. And like we were talking about before the show, I mean, GM has been around for 100 years. It's cool to see them still innovating and, in some ways going back to their roots with electric cars.
Well, yeah. And you and I were talking again before the show that GM had all electric delivery trucks more than 100 years ago.
I wonder what
of course,
range.
The battery technology, well, it was probably terrible, and they probably weighed a gazillion pounds because the batteries at that time were so primitive. But, I mean, they were trying and they were exploring. So a lot of times we sort of write off the traditional American automakers as being behind the curve on this stuff, but not really historically the case.
Right. Again, I'm kind of curious to like what the true range of those 100-year-old cars were. I'm imagining, 15, 20 miles. But yeah, there you go. So story number one, battery cars. And again, I think that judging by a lot of the stories that we just have here on a regular basis, Ralph, Mercedes has, Daimler has promised to go all electric by 2035. Volkswagen said they're going by 2030. You called it 2 years ago that electric cars are going to be the norm. And I think it's going to be here faster than either of us expected, but you were right. So.
Yep. And I think in the interim, you and I talked about this also before the show. My wife and I are actively searching for a RAV4 Prime, which is a plug-in hybrid, meaning that it's a kind of a best of both worlds right now in this transitional time. You can go for the first 40 to 45 miles pure electric. And when that little battery is expired, boom, it goes into traditional hybrid mode with another battery that plays the hybrid game. So you have the best of both worlds. Most Americans, according to the AAA surveys, drive 26 or fewer miles a day. Therefore, in effect, for probably 90 to 98% of the time my wife and I own this car, it'll be an EV car. For all intents and purposes. So it's a pretty cool concept. We're on our way, folks. Volvo is also actively working on battery technologies as well. So everybody's got skin in the game, so to speak, and we're going to get there, folks.
The last point I'm going to make about all this is that one of the biggest leaders in electric car and kind of electric stations and things like that. I don't know if a lot of people don't know this, but your companies like BP, Chevron, if they're still a thing, essentially all of your oil companies and gas companies, they see the transition coming and they're working on electric systems and batteries just as much as anyone else. So it's coming to us from all fronts, and electric is definitely going to be the norm. So that's good though. So with that being said, story number one. Story number two, warp drive, and obviously a lot. I'm not afraid to say that our audience is nerdy, and I'm sure that a lot of them have their own favorite generation of Star Trek. But one thing that has held constant through all the different iterations of Star Trek was how do you get through space, because it is mind-blowingly large, and you needed a warp drive. So story number two goes to that.
like Captain Picard says, engage.
Warp speed.
Okay, so the headline here is the world just moved even closer to a real working warp drive, which immediately caught my attention, needless to say. Story in Popular Mechanics by Tim Childers. I hope I'm saying that right. Childers. Fun. And this is very, very deep, geeky stuff. So I'm giving, again, the super high level nuggets of information extracted from this article. But here we go. Scientists now have a new theoretical, let's emphasize that, a new theoretical model, for faster than light travel that is based on conventional physics. And you'll see in a moment why that's important. We're talking, of course, as you and I were alluding to, the fantasy of Star Trek's warp drive, perhaps becoming a reality in the future. Now, as I said a moment ago, there's a ton of mind-bending science behind this breakthrough, which is really well explained in the Popular Mechanics article. So please get the show notes, folks. Dig into this if you want to. But let me just give you a few highlights. Okay, to date, scientists have explored the idea of faster than light travel by relying on theories based on bizarre physics and exotic matter. But Eric Lentz, who's an astrophysicist at Germany's Göttingen University, has created a theoretical design, emphasis theoretical, design for a warp drive that's actually grounded in conventional physics. So previous ideas for a warp drive required a source of exotic matter. And exotic matter refers to matter that would violate the known laws of physics, such as a particle having a negative mass. Oh, my brain is just melting here. But it's fun. Lentz's theory overcomes this barrier by reimagining the shape of warped space-time to allow for normal matter and energy to be used instead. Okay, time out. What is this warped space-time bit all about? Remember, Einstein theorized that space and time can be pushed and pulled and warped by matter. And again, I just like reeling because this is way above my mental pay grade, but I've delved into Einstein's book on all this, and it's very hard to get your head around, but it is fascinating. So wrap it up here. With Lentz's warp drive spacecraft, if you could build them with his theories, if they could become reality, spacecraft could reach our nearest neighboring star system, Alpha Centauri, in 4 years. That's going faster than the speed of light. Still take 4 years, folks, instead of 100,000 years with conventional modern rockets. So, wow. But read the article, friends. I've just had to skip the stone across the surface of the deep waters of this article, so check it out.
Right. Yeah, and I was kind of picking through it as you were kind of reading those points, and and this image, I guess, is really what it's all about. Kind of creating this little bubble where the people would be inside the bubble, and then obviously you warp everything around yourself. So conventional physics would not apply to you as you kind of move yourself from one side of the universe to the other. And I like that using traditional quantum mechanics or any other form of science. I believe they said it right here. Let's see. So first of all, they have to create negative energy, and they said essentially the traditional way that they were thinking would expend a tremendous amount of energy, more than what's available within the entire universe. So, yeah, that's a little not feasible for traditional ways, but it's cool. Yes. You're right. The paper does go a lot deeper, and yeah, it's Ralph. I'll be honest. Again, I thought we were still working on lithium batteries. I didn't realize that warp drives were also happening on somewhere else. So I'm glad that they're working on two fronts at once. They are and it's like walking and chewing gum, but it's like walking and warp drive. I don't know. It's very cool. I like that. So that was a very cool story. Story number 3. IBM, friends of the show, and they're always fun to talk about because they have two parts. Like IBM is like the boring, kind of monitor, computer, printer company that they sell to enterprises. But then they have research, and their research is always so fun to talk about. So, story number 3.
Yes, it is. Yeah, story 3 headline: IBM showcases new energy-efficient artificial intelligence accelerator chip. And this comes from ZDNet, story by Daphne LaPrince, and I'll spell the last name, I don't want to butcher it, Ringuet. Ringue?
And honestly, it sounds French.
With
So Le Prince Ringue, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you always drop a couple letters. Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
So here's what makes IBM's new artificial intelligence accelerator chip highly energy efficient. And by the way, this is very, very high level, these notes here. This will be old hat to you, Ben, and probably 95% of our listeners here. But let's just go through it here. So first, the chip is made using 7 nanometer technology. Computer chips today are made using billions of tiny transistors. Of course, we all know that. The transistors in the new IBM AI Accelerator chip are only 7 billionths of a meter in size, hence 7 nanometers. The smaller the transistors are in a chip, the less power is needed to operate. And on top of the tiny size of the transistors in this solution, the resulting energy efficiency, on top of the small size and the resulting energy efficiency, IBM's new artificial intelligence chip has 4 cores. And again, Ben, you're totally up on this, and most of our listeners are too. So computers today have multi-core processors, meaning a computer's central processing unit, as it were, has within it multiple cores, or lay terms, brains. So the IBM AI chip has 4 cores or 4 brains working together to accelerate the AI programs that it is executing. The combination of 7 nanometer technology, the power efficiency that this delivers, and 4 cores makes the new IBM AI Accelerator chip. Again, it's an ASIC, it's an application-specific chip. IBM Accelerator chip, a real turn-on for geeks in the field of AI. So interesting development, and to your point, IBM, the images maybe just the blue suits and boring and whatever, but no. The research team at IBM are just stunning.
Yeah, it's very, very cool that they're optimizing for AI. I know that obviously, so IBM is doing this. I know that NVIDIA has a couple of their own products. Efficiency in particular computing, Ralph, it's something that's coming up more and more often. And I was a little distracted because I was looking up this other topic of, it was more popular last month than it was this month. NFTs, Ralph, have you heard of non-fungible tokens? Okay. Well, one of the things that came up last month were the ability to create a non-fungible token, and then of course going through all the blockchain and going through that ledger, and being able to make a token and verify the token and have it continue to be verified over and over and over again. And someone mentioned that for example, a single NFT edition of one should take responsibility for about 90 kilograms of CO2, which is the equivalent of an hour of international commercial jet flight. Essentially, they're very inefficient in the way that they do these things. And I'm glad that AI is getting looked at. Obviously more power, more energy, better AI, perfect. But there's also just the efficiency of technology in general, which is, Ralph, over the last year, it really does seem like climate change has become a thing.
Oh, God.
So,
oh my gosh.
All of this just has to get better, more efficient, and according to Moore's law, it will. So, this is really cool. Really cool of IBM as well.
Yep, I agree. Really cool stuff. Talk about climate change. Real quick segue here. I'm in Oregon.
Sure.
And Oregon, when we moved here 30 years ago, was the land of eternal rain. Now we just got a state climatology alert that we're in for a horrible drought. They're terrified of more horrible fires this season coming. We've had the driest, warmest April on record, I think, so far. I mean, what more do we need to get real and believe the science, folks?
We're doing it. And again, I'm seeing it from a lot of different angles. So that's certainly good that the things like the Paris Climate Agreement are being kind of addressed and things like that. So, yep. All of that, but all that's going to happen in its own time. And again, I'm glad that, AI chips, and that's efficiency's sake, but let's also face it, Ralph, AI has invaded every part of our lives. So better AI is better. Hopefully,
amen.
Hopefully one day, self-driving cars. That's what we need. So
we're getting there.
You go. Story number 4, and let's go ahead and talk about deepfake. And this is something that I've said so often because people can be fooled by these fake videos and fake photos that are being generated out there. And I've said for a while that it's not going to be up to people to do this. It's going to be up to technology to solve this problem because technology created it, and I feel like just as easily and efficiently, technology is going to be able to spot it. So.
Yeah,
people are working on it.
And this is a fun story on a couple of levels to your points you were just making about identifying deep fake photos and deep fake videos, but in this case, it's focused on photos. And the other thing that's fun about it, let me give you the headline. University of Buffalo computer scientists developed tool to spot deep fake photos. I have become aware this calendar year of the University of Buffalo and their scientific team there. They have some amazing research going on at the University of Buffalo. And it's just not a name I think most of us, and certainly I was guilty of this, I didn't think about as being a cutting edge bunch of folks. But believe me, this isn't the first story.
Everyone thinks about MIT and the other Ivy League, but they're doing great stuff.
It's doing great stuff. So this comes from a press release from them that caught my eye. So here we go. University of Buffalo's computer scientists have developed a tool that can identify deep fake facial photos. So it's specific to that by analyzing, it's so clever, light reflections in the eyes. Now here's how it works. The tool proved to be 94% effective with portrait-like photos in experiments. The scientists realized that the two eyes of a person in a photo should have very similar reflective patterns because they should be seeing the same thing if it's a real image. However, most deep fake facial images generated by artificial intelligence software fail to accurately produce similar reflective patterns in both eyes. This may be caused when many digital photos are combined to generate the fake facial image. The tool the University of Buffalo team created works by comparing in great detail the potential differences in shape, light intensity, and other features of the reflected light in the eyes to quickly identify what's real or a fake facial image. And you know what, Ben, another thing this is going to be important for is security, right? So if you have a photo badge or something, you try to create a deep fake photo badge and you try to use it in a recognition system of some sort, this could be helpful in just saying, wait, time out. This is not not a real one.
And it seems so simple, but at the same time, what he's showing here, 94% is still a little low on the, kind of 100% that you want. But, there are companies like Samsung had, and I think Apple as well, but mainly Samsung had to abandon their kind of facial, kind of pick up your phone and recognize people ambitions because they found that, even with all that investment and research going into this, you just hold up a piece of printer paper with someone's photo on it and it still tricked the camera. To get AI to do this is incredibly difficult.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, it's a tough challenge, but it's an interesting development, at least in this one area of fake facial portrait images.
Right. And one thing, and if people are, kind of want to play with deepfake and, kind of this type of technology, and you're, hey, it's Friday, work slowing down, you can, you have some time to play. I found this game here, which you can find here, whichfaceisreal.com, and you can actually play. And Ralph, we can play just real quick. We'll do like 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Photo on the left, photo on the right. For the people who are just listening, there's there's a woman and there's a man. But one of these is a fake photo. Let me zoom in a little bit for you, Ralph. Here.
I'm gonna go with the one on the left.
You think the one on the left is the fake and the one on the right?
But I'm looking at the eye reflections.
Oh, so you're trying to do what the machine was doing?
I'm trying to be like the Buffalo dudes. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying one on the left?
Let's see.
Okay, we're gonna do this, and you were incorrect. The one on the right.
Damn it!
Was all right. We're gonna try one more, and then we'll move on. But two women, kind of similar long hair, all that kind of thing. The one on the right obviously looks like a photo shoot, kind of airbrushed. Okay. One on the left looks a little more natural. Ralph, I'm gonna say the one on the right. What do you think?
You think the one on the right's the fake?
Yes.
All right, let's do that. Let's see what happens.
All right, one on the right. I'm incorrect. I'm actually wrong.
Oh my gosh.
I will say though, it does look touched up, but it is actually the one on the left is actually a completely fake person using deepfake. Two, ladies and gentlemen, and like that's the fun thing. Like there's another website here. I can also mention this.
Cool.
And Ralph, I don't know if you've ever heard of this one. Thispersondoesnotexist.com. This website
so
actually
it's
made And although it looks a lot like a regular person, Ralph, this website got into the news lately because there was the recent argument over like the unionization of Amazon workers. Someone claiming to be an Amazon representative was actually a fake person that they just went to this website. And by the way, you can just hit refresh every single time and it'll show up a new quote unquote person, right there. So essentially what they did, they created a fake profile, came to this website, took one of the photos at random and used that as their profile picture. And of course, that's going to be much more difficult because, Ralph, there's never going to be someone to say, oh, wait, that's me. That's never going to happen. This is a composite of multiple photos. Wow. So stuff Spooky. Like this. And Ralph, that's why the story you just did about identifying deepfakes is so important because, Ralph, they're so accurate and they're so well put together.
And they're just going to get more and more and more accurate and more scary.
Right. Yeah. And again, all these people that we're looking at are composites of multiple people. So it's not actually one individual person. So it's a fun, scary world. But, I think at the same time, Ralph, and then we'll move on to the next story. I just got to say that personally, little things like that, being able to generate procedurally new faces and things like that. Imagine like video games in like 10 years where, you're going to have real looking people that are completely randomly generated and it's always going to be something new and different. To me, it's fun. It really is.
Yes. Well, how about having really, really high def scans of your own body and face, and then you becoming a character in a game?
Fun fact, actors like Ian McKellen have had their faces scanned. A lot of famous actors have had their faces scanned so that they can, in case anything horrible happens and they can't continue to film. Ralph, I don't know if you know this, but Hollywood actors get high digital scans so they can finish the movie and plaster their face in, kind of post effects and finish the movie one way or another. So, your favorite actors. What a world. Your favorite actors are going to be around for a long, long time. Wow. So, it's fun fact. I'm sure that David Attenborough, with his voice, with his iconic voice and everything, is going to be doing. In 100 years, he'll have new stuff coming out. I guarantee you. So, anyways, that's story number 4. Story number 5, and deepfakes are fun, but story number 5.
Yeah, story number 5 is another example of there's really some in-depth information behind this, so I'm going to be giving you the real high-level Cliff Notes distillation here. But the headline is, phosphorus for Earth's earliest life may have been forged by lightning, and you'll see the significance of this in a moment. It comes from sciencenews.com, a story by Maria Temming. This is really interesting. So I was aware of this, but it's a fun thing to think about. Until now, scientists believed that phosphorus, a key ingredient for the creation of life on Earth, came to our planet via meteorites. Isn't that bizarre? The phosphorus that went into building the first DNA and RNA molecules is thought to have come from a mineral called schreibersite, which is typically found in meteorites. But, that was the prevailing wisdom, and understandable. But get this. But researchers at the University of Leeds, another great institution, by the way, University of Leeds in England conducted an analysis of minerals forged by a lightning strike that suggests that lightning may have produced enough schreibersite on early Earth to help kickstart life. Wow. The researchers analyzed a hunk of glassy-like material which formed when lightning zapped the ground. By firing lasers, X-rays, and electrons at the hunk of glassy material and observing how these beams interacted with it, the researchers discovered that the hunk of glassy material was studded with tiny kernels of schreibersite, which in turn provides phosphorus. Wow. It's so bizarre because you just picture in your mind the Earth in its early beginnings where there was all this atmospheric stuff going on, and they know there was lightning, right? Or at least they are pretty confident there was lightning. So lightning may be a contributor to the ingredients needed for early life on Earth. Wow.
And Ralph, I'm the same as you. That the only thing I've heard for like the past 10 years or so is that meteors broke off somewhere else and hit pummeled Earth, and over X amount of time you had that spontaneous life evolution. It's pretty crazy with the lightning being able to do that here on Earth as well. Maybe we're not Martians. Maybe we did just come from Earth. Always a fun thing to think about with early life and how it actually started. So yep. There's that one. Very, very cool. And story number 6. I'm looking forward to this one because, Ralph, I've flown a decent amount over the last 3 or 4 years. I never get a plane with Wi-Fi. Maybe I'm just flying the wrong airlines. I never get Wi-Fi. Story number 6 excites me as a traveler.
Yes, it should. And this comes from SciTech Daily. It's also from their research and also the European Space Agency, their announcement. Headline, 195 megabits per second Wi-Fi on planes coming next year. And I'll say potentially coming next year and most likely starting with European airlines. So let me throw those qualifiers in right away. I got a couple of links for you. Of course, a link to the story and a link for what's currently today's Wi-Fi speeds on aircraft. So here we go. Next year, commercial flight passengers may be able to enjoy a huge boost in Wi-Fi speeds up to 195 megabits per second. And by the way, I don't know about you, but my Wi-Fi at home here, probably I'm hardwired, but my wife is on the wireless network here at home. She's pulling about 150 megabits per second, which is perfectly adequate for what she needs to do. So 195 is a bit better than what my own home Wi-Fi network is giving my wife, for example. So pretty impressive. So the new in-flight Wi-Fi technology is being developed by communications company OneWeb and SatixFy, it's kind of a funny play, SatixFy, a British manufacturer of electronic components. So today's in-flight Wi-Fi technologies typically offer up to about 12 megabits per second using ground-based or satellite-based technology. And real quick, the ground-based relies on an antenna on the airplane connecting to ground-based cell towers, no surprise. The satellite-based approach relies on geostationary satellites. Now, the onboard Wi-Fi aircraft terminals, OneWeb and SatixFy have developed together, will connect to a hybrid combination of OneWeb's their own low Earth orbit satellites and existing geostationary satellite networks. So it's a hybrid. To boost speed, the terminals on the aircraft will use electronically steered multi-beam antenna technologies to operate simultaneously via many different satellites. I'm guessing it might be like a hyper-threading or kind of a divide and conquer approach. I'm not quite sure I fully get the whole technology here.
Right.
But OneWeb currently has 110 satellites already, with plans to expand to 650. Holy smokers. Certification and in-flight testing will begin in 2022. So for more, dig into the article and you'll get into it. But it is, at least, as you pointed out, Ben, a promising development that may, if it works and gets deployed widely worldwide, could really transform our experience of Wi-Fi on aircraft, to say the least.
So, and I know that we've already talked, we've already done our one plug for SpaceX and, things like that for Elon Musk.
Right.
But we can do another one. SpaceX, obviously, Ralph, I think since you were last on, had opened up their registration for satellite internet in the home. Like you can sign up and, try to do it.
Yeah, that's
I think it was
right.
like a $500 kind of equipment fee. Yeah,
that's right.
And then a $100 monthly fee, and they were promising speeds of like 200 megabits per second. I'm sorry, 50 to 150. I feel like this is the exact same thing. I don't know how much 650 satellites is going to do. I know that SpaceX, or I should say Starlink, they've promised. I want to say, just to put into perspective, SpaceX wants to do 13,000 satellites.
Wow.
Varying from low Earth orbit and high Earth orbit. Right. Yeah, I'm. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad competition. It's great. Ralph, I'm looking forward to the day when, hey, it doesn't matter where you live, you will have access to at least decent internet, because a lot of places, especially in the U.S., do not have that. So.
Oh yeah, outlying rural areas, the Native American reservations, so many different parts of the earth or area in the United States are underserved, to say the least.
Especially airplanes.
Yep.
So it's perfect. Yep. I'm really hoping that's the case, because man, airlines are fun and all. Reading a book is so antique and fun and novel, but man, I just want to browse my phone. I just want to look at stupid cat pictures. It's I need it, Ralph. I need it. So anyways, story number 6, and we're doing good. Story number 6. Story number 7, though, speaking of AI a little bit ago, and hey, it wouldn't be the current day without talking about COVID just a little bit. What's story number 7?
Yeah, this is fun. Comes from Engadget.com, a story by S. Shah, S-H-A-H. Headline, FDA clears first artificial intelligence device to spot hidden signs of COVID-19. Really kind of cool. There's a cool picture here. It's an armband device, and I'll explain it here. The FDA recently cleared the first artificial intelligence-based screening device designed to pinpoint lurking signs of COVID-19 in asymptomatic people. That's the key. It's looking for these kind of hard to see lurking signs of COVID-19 in asymptomatic people.
Well, and really that's why COVID-19 has been such a such a scourge here for the past year, is that kind of like 30% or more people don't have any symptoms whatsoever, but they can still pass it on to other people. And being able to, and that's why, Ralph, like a lot of what we've been doing, it's good, but a lot of it is theater, where it's like, don't come in if you have a cough, if you have a fever, if you have a runny nose, if you've lost your sense of taste. 30% of people that are spreading this thing don't have any of those symptoms, so that's why we still have to be careful.
They're unaware.
Yeah, exactly. It's not their fault. So something like this, great.
Yeah, it's interesting. So this device is called the Tiger Tech COVID Plus monitor. It's an armband device. If you have the show notes, you will eventually, you'll see this. Uses light sensors and a small computer processor to check for biomarkers of the virus, such as hypercoagulation, a COVID-19 abnormality that causes the blood to clot more easily. This is not necessarily related to the Johnson & Johnson thing that's going on right now, but but that said, once strapped onto a person's arm, the monitor's onboard sensors start collecting pulse signals from blood flow over a period of 3 to 5 minutes. The processor extracts the key information from the measurements and feeds them through the device's artificial intelligence machine learning model. Wow. Final results, including whether the test shows positive biomarkers or is inconclusive, are represented by different colored lights on the little device on the armband. The FDA stressed that the armband is not meant to diagnose COVID-19, or to be a substitute for a regular full-on test. Instead, it's intended as more of a backup to be deployed alongside a temperature check, for example, when you enter a building or so forth. If it's an extra concern, you can pop on this armband, wait and see what its results are. It's just a helper. It's not meant to be a full-on COVID-19 test.
I'm truly hoping that we're kind of at the tail end of this COVID thing, that just a couple more months and we are kind of out of the woods. But Ralph, I feel like all this all this research and preparation is going to help maybe if there's another case, or even I was just talking about this yesterday with with someone that's hey, I'm hoping that we kind of take a smaller example of this, like maybe not as much quarantining and stuff like that, but a small example of this every year with the flu, because the flu kills so many people and it's really similar. I'm hoping we can use a lot of what we learned every single year. So like I've said, I hope the masks stick around at least. If you're sneezing and coughing and you have a cold, don't just go out there sneezing without a mask on. Like, I'm hoping like at least they wear masks. I hope that sticks around. But
it's interesting. My wife and I were walking the dog. By the way, this, folks, see that surgery? pins in my finger.
For everyone who can't see the video portion, Ralph currently is sporting a beautiful splint on his right ring finger.
Yes, wonderful. And it's just great. I've also appreciate now voice dictation for Microsoft Word, and I can run my browser with my voice because I can't, type very well anymore. Oh, well. Anyway, with that said, my wife and I said, I wonder if we'll ever come to a day when we don't wear masks. It's now become such a habit. And as you know, Ben, the incidence of flu and other things dramatically plummeted in the United States. They think in part because of A, social distancing, B, mainly the masks, and of course, washing your hands and some of the things that we're all supposed to try to do. So I'm thinking, well, I don't care what I look like. Even when all this has supposedly died down, I'm going to continue to wear a mask. I'm going to continue to, be careful and sanitize my hands when I get back in the car and all that kind of stuff. And, maybe it'll help.
I'm certainly hoping that it at least becomes acceptable, that if someone's walking around with a mask, people don't think, it's like, why are they doing that? Is something bad about to happen? I'm hoping that it at least becomes acceptable,
I think so. I think we've kind of gotten into that now. It's so normalized, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, let's see. I think I can pull up this one real quick just to kind of highlight your point here. A little bar graph here. 2020.
The influenza,
Yep. 2020, these are the different months. And then, of course, you can see here at the end here, this is 2021 for the different months here in the beginning of 2021. And man, they are... they're at a very, very low rate. So,
and that's just
perfect.
It's a fascinating side benefit. Thank goodness.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and do story number 8. And I think we're going to start picking through the stories and, kind of highlighting the ones that we should. So story number 8, let's go ahead and do that.
You got it. And Ben, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just about to say, just to introduce the story a little bit, you must be particularly interested in this one because you obviously went through heart surgery.
Yes. It wasn't for valve issues, but I relate to anything to the heart. Speaks to my heart.
Right.
Folks, I had a quintuple bypass and then 5 stents about a year later. So I'm completely rebuilt man. I'm sort of like the, what was that old TV show? The Bionic
$1 Million Man.
$1 Million Man, Bionic Man, or whatever.
Yeah.
If only they could do my brain. But anyway. So this next story, folks, is one of the things that I love doing with this show. And it's a motivation. This is such a great example of medical technology. That's a bright, happy story, folks. And don't we need them these days? Here's the headline. Lab-generated heart valves grow inside body. Okay, let that sink in. Lab-generated heart valves that can grow inside the body. You're going to see the incredible significance of this in just a moment. This is a wonderful website, by the way, Gadget, run together as one word, .com. Story by Con Hastings. Okay, so there's a great deal of amazing science behind this stunning achievement that's fully covered in the article, but I'll just provide a few key highlights. So once again, please get the show notes and check this out. This is so great. Researchers at the University of Minnesota, God bless them, have developed a tissue engineered heart valve replacement that can grow within a patient. Get ready. This breakthrough could allow children with congenital heart defects to avoid repeated surgeries to replace heart valves they have outgrown. God be praised. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
To create the valves, the researchers cultured donor cells and grew a heart valve within a bioreactor. And a reminder, a bioreactor is an apparatus for growing organisms or tissue that are used in the production of pharmaceuticals or, for example, the bioconversion of organic waste. So I've just given you a really super high level glancing dip into this article. Please read this article because it's so informative. But the thing about children, my heart melted, no pun intended, when I read that about kids. I'd never thought about this. Children with congenital heart defects involving the valve have to go through this surgery over and over and over again as they grow up, right, and outgrow their valve. Oh, no.
Yeah, and being able to grow the tissue and kind of culture, kind of culture the cells. It's really hard. One thing that we've talked about in the past, Ralph, was being able to 3D print organs and things like that. That's proving to be very difficult because, you can print using the medium. You can print using lung tissue or something like that.
Right.
But to actually thread in all those capillaries and all the, working blood vessels, blood vessels and things like that, to make it a functional kind of forever organ, that's kind of getting away from us. So finding some way to kind of bridge that gap until we can actually do that is super cool. So
Fabulous.
I hope that this makes a lot of people's lives a lot easier. So great research. Ralph, I gotta say, I love lists. So I think that story number 9 is gonna be great, and then from there, if we have time, we'll do 9. Take your time, no rush, but if we have time, we'll do 12 and 13 as well. But story number 9.
Let's see what we can do. This is really fun. Comes from an outlet I hadn't dealt with before, 24/7tempo.com, story by Josie Green. It's kind of a history story. So 30 NASA inventions we still use every day. A fun article, I'll just do 5 examples. Eye tracker used for laser eye surgery. Technology used to track astronauts' eyes in space. Originally intended to assess how a human's frame of reference is affected by weightlessness, evolved to become an essential part of eye surgery. The technology in question tracks a patient's eye position while the surgeon operates. Okay, here's another one.
And just real quick, I got to say that I just did that last summer. It's,
wow.
Ralph, you've been on the show long enough that you know that I used to wear glasses, and I'm glad that it works. And I did not lose my sight. That was perfect.
Well, and you can thank in part NASA for the origins of that technology. So advanced water filtration devices. In the 1970s, NASA developed filtration systems that utilized iodine and cartridge filters to ensure that astronauts had access to safe, tasteless water. This filtering technology is now used around the world to purify water in at-risk communities. So isn't that something? Now, this one is really fun. Cell phone cameras. In the 1990s, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory invented a light, miniature imaging system that required little energy in order to take high-quality photographs from space. The cameras in our cell phones and computer webcams today can trace their origin ultimately back to this groundbreaking technology from the 1990s. How about that? Next one, CAT scans and MRIs. NASA's digital signal technology, originally used to recreate images of the moon during the Apollo missions, is the underlying technology that makes CAT scans and MRIs possible. Wow. And here's one for fun. Dustbuster, the good old Black & Decker Dustbuster. For the Apollo moon landings, NASA partnered with Black & Decker to invent battery-powered tools for drilling and taking rock samples. This led to the creation of the cordless Dustbuster, and you could argue all of its various descendants, even including the fancy ones that we have nowadays. So that's fun.
You really undersold this article as well, because there's some in here. I think things like memory foam. Obviously, people know that NASA kind of did that. But
it's a fun article.
Baby formula and firefighters outfits, and so many little things. Ralph, I always heard that, and I just looked it up again to get the numbers. For every $1 spent on the Apollo program, you have returns of $7 in terms of technology advancement, new products, things like that. And then for just space development in general, every $1 spent, you get back 40 because of things like this. The research is not useless. It goes into so many things in our daily lives. So,
amen.
Perfect.
Amen.
So fun NASA, I guess, is the end point of that. If anyone here makes those decisions, fun NASA.
Yes.
Okay, so that was story number 9. If you're reading the show notes, and again, that one is definitely one you want to go check out. Story number 12, I think, should be our next one.
Okay, you got it. And this one is, I'm from Oregon here, so this is close to my home. Meet the Oregon robot that could change package delivery. As we noticed, the headliner came from our local KGW, which is the NBC affiliate here, Channel 8 in Portland, Oregon. A web story called by Nina Halflaff, if I'm saying her name right. Tons of videos, lots of fun stuff to look at here. And here we go. Agility Robotics is an Albany, Oregon-based company. it's not a very big city, by the way, that makes amazing humanoid robots that can walk standing upright on two legs and use their arms to pick up and carry objects. But Ben, you know this. Right off the top, however, I have to note that Agility Robotics' human-like walking robot called Digit looks a lot like those Boston Dynamics has been creating for several years now. So,
well, there's a reason, right? Which is obviously that so much research has gone into.
Sure.
And Ralph, our society is built to accommodate, people. So if you make a robot that walks like humans, then, the robot can do everything a human can do. So, of course, a lot of, Boston Dynamic, this Digit as well, are modeled after human locomotion. So right. I guess that's the reason.
Exactly. Right. And so even though they remind me a lot, of course, of Boston Dynamics, their humanoid robots, they're still super impressive, lots of fun to watch in action. Mm-hmm. I know you've been showing the video, and it is a blast to watch this thing in action. In fact, the video featured on the KGW web story is really something you have to see to believe, as you can see now. It's spooky how much these Digit robots look like humans walking around. So that part is
headless
fun.
Humans. Perfect.
Yeah, headless humans. Yeah, that's kind of spooky. In the video, you'll see Digit humanoid robots crossing streets with cars, as well as traversing uneven surfaces in the woods and even navigating downhill slopes, which, by the way, that's a really difficult thing for a robot like this to do. Recently, the company achieved a milestone with the sale of 2 of their Digit humanoid robots to the Ford Motor Company, and Ford is using one robot to test a package delivery service and another to practice moving assembly parts in their warehouse. So really fun videos to look at, by the way. Check it out.
For sure. I even remember, because I kind of grew up in hospitals, that there was a robot that, back in the mid 90s that used to deliver medication, from and lab results and lab tests. The doctor could just call it in, it would, put the lab samples in, and then the robot would run it down to the lab right away.
Right.
Little things like that, make all the difference. And it's a great way to introduce robots. Ralph, since you were last on, it was pretty famous that there was, I think it was Boston Dynamics made a robot that can unload a truck in pretty good speed, be able to pick up boxes and things like that. So I think that package delivery, I think they were selling it to like UPS, FedEx, things like that, have robots pack those trailers and those trucks for shipping, and then of course have humans on the other end take it out. So yeah, robots are going to work their way in, and they're going to look a lot like us, and that's on purpose. Hey, it's going to be a weird world in 10 years. Story number 13, speaking of weird world, anytime you increase speed, Ralph, which is why whenever we talk about Hyperloop or we talk about, kind of faster planes or things like that, you shrink your world. And this story is a great example of that, because, hey, Ralph, what if you wake up early in the morning, you catch a plane to Tokyo, you spend the day in Tokyo, and then you catch a plane back and sleep in your own bed the very next day?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it if you live in Los Angeles.
Right.
So here we go. Here's the headline. Imagine a commercial airliner jet that can fly from Los Angeles to Tokyo in 3 hours. This comes from CNN. Yes, it should be CNN. I mistyped that. A story by Maureen O'Hare and Paul Sillers. And here we go. Florida-based aircraft maker Aerion, that's Aerion, recently announced that by the end of this decade, we'll be able to jet between Los Angeles and Tokyo in under 3 hours. The company's Aerion AS3 aircraft, now in development, is a Mach 4 50-passenger commercial airline. And by the way, Aerion has a partnership with NASA. Ding, ding, ding. Here comes NASA again, to focus on commercial flight in Mach 3 to 5 range. Now, to put Mach 4 speed into perspective, that's just slightly under 3,000 miles an hour, as compared to the average of about 560 miles per hour for a long-distance commercial passenger jet. Gives you the perspective. Work on the Aerion AS3 aircraft is currently underway, with more details set to be revealed later this year. And just a reminder, the last supersonic passenger jet to fly was the good old Concorde, which ended service more than 17 years ago. So kind of fun, huh?
Why, and this is a complete aside. Why did the Concorde stop operating? Was it like high operating costs and not enough people taking it? I think it was. You know what? I remember seeing them at JFK when I used to travel so much for Intel.
way back in the old days. And I think I remember hearing it just got to be so, the tickets were so expensive, and other passenger flight technology was getting better and better and faster, not as fast as the Concorde, but enough to where business travelers were going, I can't justify the cost for the Concorde. I just kind of remember that sort of dialogue going on back in those days.
According to the Wikipedia article, they also mentioned that there was there was in 2000 there was a very famous Concorde accident that killed everyone on board.
That's right.
And then of course, this was 2 years after 9/11, which obviously air traffic took a hit after September 11th.
Yes.
Yeah. So that, along with Airbus, actually is the one who maintained it. They're like, this is really annoying. We don't want to pay to keep fixing this Concorde, and they shut down the maintenance of the Concorde as well. So, supersonic flight. I'm glad it's making a comeback. It's if anything was like kind of Jetson-esque, kind of spoke to the future, I feel like this was it. These very sleek looking planes. So I'm glad that they're coming back. Ralph, let's see, we have about a minute left, so I don't think we have time. Some of the stories that we didn't cover that you found include, actually one from MIT, a self-cooling fabric from polyurethane. There's that one. Let's see. Story number 11 was an access to quantum computers, which actually happens all the time. But if anyone out there wants to play with their own quantum computer, it looks like the Department of Energy, for free, has your back, and you can definitely do that. That story and more. We have other stories, including being able to get medication directly into tumors, very important for medical research, and more. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for today. Music in the background. Ralph, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, always a joy, buddy.
Absolutely. So everyone, ralphbond.wixsite.com, or of course Ralph Bond in Wix in Google will get you right there, or a link in the Computer America show notes. Everyone, have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.